On today's episode of View from the Top, I've got Lindsay Holden. Lindsay is a former kind of corporate person, and 6 years ago, her and two co-founders started Odele Beauty. And I love the story of they saw a problem, and they saw a part of the market that wasn't really being fulfilled in the hair care products, and so they tackled it. And being in that CPG world, raising a family, starting a business, managing a business, a lot of what Lindsay and I talk about in this is really how do you evolve as a leader, as a founder, when the business evolves, when the life around you evolves. That building to scaling requires something completely different. And I love that message. And how do you maintain the humility, but also balance that with the spirit, right? She says the renegade spirit that kind of got you to this point. And how do you shift from, she talks about the art and the heart of influence. When you're no longer maybe directly managing, but you still need to influence outcomes. And I think for a lot of us, that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard transition because there's less control and there's more work for us as leaders. And so as she shares her story, there's just so many great lessons. And how do you find balance? And I love that she's honest with us about she's still figuring that out, right? You figure it out and then something shifts and you've got to figure it out again. And I think it's a great message and a reminder for all of us. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of View from the Top. Welcome to the View from the Top. So I have a treat for me and therefore for all the listeners today. I've got Lindsay Holden, who is the co-founder of Odele Beauty. I don't want to say maybe from the beginning, because maybe I wasn't aware when you first launched it, because it's been almost 8 years.
We're six.
I have been like a groupie. And I'm very proud to say, I think it was in 2023 that Lindsay and one of her co-founders and I ended up on the Inc. 200. And I was like, I'm on the list with the Odele women. Like, I was so proud. So I did a warm reach out and I was like, listen, I want you to tell your story. I want to know your story. So we don't know each other really well, but I'm so excited to get to know you through this conversation. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. And both local to Minneapolis, which I love seeing other, native Minnesotans on the list, or at least those who choose to reside here now.
Yeah, right.
But yes, it was fun. I'm so glad you reached out. I love making these kinds of connections and what you're building with this podcast.
Thank you for that. And I love hearing stories and telling stories. So let's start there.
Sure.
For people who don't know, maybe Odele, they don't kind of know what you've done. Can you just give us like a quick version of the journey? Kind of what's gotten you to this point?
Sure. So, my name is Lindsay Holden. I grew up in Minneapolis, never thought I'd end up back here, but long story short, there's something that keeps bringing us back. My background has always been in sales, consultative sales. And then when I came back to Minnesota, I went to the University of Minnesota for graduate school. I got my MBA and got my foot in the door at Target, where I was a merchant for about 8 years. Okay. Loved the job. Natural fit for a merchant, like just love that balance of art and science, owning a category within the store, always finding opportunity and having just that real direct opportunity, like impact on a business to develop it year over year, from what you bring to shelf to how you talk about it, promote it, and learning from those choices you make in real time to continue to grow. I have 3 kids. I had them all during my tenure at Target. And I think after about 8 years there, I knew that what was next for me was something other than big company. And I wasn't sure what that was, but I had so loved and appreciated my time there. And I also couldn't figure out what was next while still having that full-time job as a merchant and, a kid about to enter kindergarten, one that was turning 1. It was like a lot. So I left with no plan whatsoever other than to figure out what was next. I enjoyed a lovely summer. And I think, once a merchant, always a merchant. I didn't sit still for long. I reconnected with a friend of mine who I had met in grad school, and the two of us started, she had been consulting on with some beauty brands. And I took a look at the category, and I was like, why is my shower so crowded, right? I've got the products for me that are the elevated fancy salon brands. My husband's using whatever kind. My kids are using the clean ones. And inevitably you turn around and your kid is squeezing out, your fancy shampoo to make bubbles. And you're like, oh my God, stop. And so I took, we took a look at the category and you're like, wait, why isn't there that brand that's made for discerning tastes, but isn't able to share with whoever in your shower? And we looked at this category and we're like, it's really hair type and texture that should be driving, not all these other kind of artificial divides, whether it's the fragrance that's overly gendered, whether it's clean, which should really be table stakes. It's really, there weren't any brands where anyone could truly walk up to the shelf and find a solution for themselves. And I am such a firm and passionate believer that, premium design, performance, quality can and should be accessible at every price point. And we weren't finding that at mass. So we set out to build Odele, and that is what the brand represents. We launched in 2020, right before COVID. So that's a whole nother story. But 6 years later, we're in about 15,000 doors. We have national distribution, and we're still driving incredible growth year over year.
What's lighting you up right now with Odele, with life? Like what's energizing you?
I mean, I still see so much possibility. I think that's just kind of like the natural entrepreneurial spirit of like, I'm just like, there's so much more we can be doing and should be doing. And our awareness, if we keep building it, and the more people who know about us, the more they come back. And so it's really trying to understand how to, it's again down to my sales background too, where I'm like driving the growth and believing in this, what we're delivering from the brand, from the positioning, from the product so wholeheartedly that all I see is opportunity and wanting to continue to go get that.
What's one thing, if someone's watching from the outside, right? She went from Target and she started this company, and what's one thing they might get wrong, right? About that, they might just see the highlight reel, right? And
yeah. Well, she was there. They must have given her some extra opportunity or whatnot. Like that is not at all the case. We have, I think there may be comfort, and I never speak on behalf, right, of them, but I think there may be comfort in knowing like we could execute on the back end, right, of like getting product to shelf, the operations complexity of it all, really understanding how retail works and what retail math is. But that's only like a fraction of, it's like if it doesn't move on shelf, there are absolutely no favors granted. So I think maybe just like that always is like, wait a minute, no, we created an opportunity to drive their business, which in turn also drives ours. And so it's that continued like growth of showing up as somebody who's adding value, truly incremental to an assortment, truly, understands the consumer and the guest and is offering something that's meaningful and standing behind that year over year.
Well, I just love, and I love the risk taking. I would call it you're a natural risk taker, right? There's some of us maybe who entrepreneurial are more than others, but to just have the confidence to say, we're going to try this, right?
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen, right? And let's see if we can truly start to drive change that we want to see. So I call it, that you're climbing, right? That mountain of what that looks like and what success looks like. Can you think back to a moment, right, on the climb where maybe to everyone else on the outside, everything looked great, but to you on the inside, because most successful people were like, everyone else thought everything was great and I was dying on the inside, right? As something was happening and I was having my own mental health issue. So you hear a lot of those stories. Do you have a moment or moments like that?
I think on the climb, it's interesting to think about because of COVID and because of the timing. My partners and I, there are three of us together, right? And we're like this three-legged stool, and we were very balanced in terms of like who freaks out about what and who can talk the other off the ledge at what time, and just coming at it from such different perspectives was really incredible and a lifesaver, where I'm like looking at my partner Shannon, who ran ops, and I'm like, I don't know how you sleep at night. You think about managing through that complexity of COVID's coming and we got wind and we maybe ordered all these caps in advance, and just the implications on our business at that time. Are stores even going to be open? What happens if we go to zero? Like what happens? Yeah. And so we did a lot of that contingency planning to then feel better about the risks that we were taking and to continue to lean in. So I think it's like that building of, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but for people who care so much about the details and every little bit of building this thing is so considered. 100% things go wrong all the time, all the time. And you're like, oh my God. And so I think it is kind of, we have an internal mantra, we call progress over perfection, because on one of our first early runs, there was an air dry styler, which you love. You just explained you like your favorite product. It's we call it, it's kind of like for that undone look, and like that on the front of the tube it says, for air dry perfection, and we forgot the R. And we're like, oh my God, the irony of this mistake is just such a great lesson learned. And honestly, like, we were able to fix it in the next iteration, but it was just one of those moments that was so representative of all, that whole building journey. We're just human. And I think so. I think like Shannon's 90, some year old grandpa was like one of the only people who noticed it, but it was, it's progress. It's progress over perfection, because you just can't control everything.
Well, I think in those moments, right? I think, any of us as entrepreneurs, like you even tell that story and we're like, oh, it could be in a blog, right? That's what and you're like, you think it's this big devastating thing. And how have you guys kept yourself grounded right through that roller coaster, especially in CPG?
Yeah.
Right? Like just that roller coaster, like what is that grounding for you, or how have you figured that out? Or are you still figuring it out? Like most?
Oh, I mean, we're still figuring it out. It's a lot. And the only thing really constant is change, right? And additional complexity. And so it's always just the prioritization of what we think matters most, what's going to have the most impact, because there is no shortage of opportunity of things you can be doing. It's what should you be doing at any given time. Yeah. That's really hard.
Going from, I think there's a lot of people listening that maybe, dream of like going from a corporate role to be your own boss and kind of having this kind of success. I'm curious for you, how did your identity have to shift to step, because you kind of had to step in front, right? And this is a beauty industry. And so like just talk us through that a little bit. Like how was that for you? Was it hard?
Yeah. I would say I'm probably more suited for this role than to play a straight and narrow line at a large corporate culture. Yeah. I think that was a natural kind of, I don't want to call it like renegade, but it was easier for me than feeling, when I fit in at like a large company. But again, you have to learn the idea, the concept, the brand is one thing. And then executing on that like entails learning so many things that you've never, ever done ever. So I think the entrepreneurial builder like aspect was a very natural extension of my interests, of my passion, of my, just
wiring,
my wiring.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay. And I think as we grow, that's almost been harder, shifting from the building to the scaling aspect of this business. And so, I think my partners and I did a really good job of like simplifying what can feel like a really complex category, what can feel like a really complex, noisy like approach to marketing, and, like really protecting and building like the relationships and what, we had the capacity to drive the most. And now as we scale, as we took on capital, as we evolve as humans and our priorities shift, I think those are like the the parts that I am very much real time navigating in terms of like a shift in my identity and my role. And when I in the company today.
And this is the natural, you're right, you're at that point, the natural founder's dilemma.
Yeah.
Is we got it here.
Yep.
Do we have the skill? Do we have the energy to get it there? Do we need other people, right, to help us get it there? And, where you guys are at is where a lot of founders, some of them make the right choices and some of them try to hang on too tight.
Yep.
And it slows the business, right? Because they don't know how to transition their identity. So it's real. And I think it's an important thing for all of us to think about.
Yeah. And how do you know that until hindsight, And so I think that is what's really tough because everybody has the best of intentions. Everybody wants, but there's very different ways of going about getting it. So it's really in hindsight that those things become clear.
Yeah. To get to the point that you're at today, is there a belief, or something you can think of that, the rules of how you were supposed to be or you had to let go of to get to this point? Or unlearn?
Yeah, I think it does have to do with what that day-to-day involvement looks like as you grow the team, as you hire, we've hired a CEO, for example. I had like 2 of my founders moved to board only roles. And so it is very much real time of navigating a new world, because to your point, it's like we believe that like, okay, we need some operators to help us scale this business and like fill in beyond our skill set. But what do we protect in the process? And it doesn't mean that there's any less influence, right, on this brand and on this brand's potential from me and from my partners. Right. And so I think, it, for me being the one that is still very much in the day-to-day business, it's shifting from that building, which I mentioned, I loved it. And it's so awesome, to being the steward of the brand. And, in the early days, we were building all the things. I was building the retailer relationships. I was building how we show up in the world, the brand expression, our momentum. And now we've hired people who are really great at these things, but it's getting myself out of the weeds to not be that bottleneck, but clearly articulating what that vision is or what we think like success looks like and the right amount of risk taking, because I still think that's our competitive advantage. And so it's trying to distill that culture and those values and what I believe that potential is that we have the right to occupy to a team.
And then letting it go.
And then letting it go. Yeah.
I equate it so much in a different way to parenting. Yeah. Right. So my kids, I sent my youngest to college this last year, and I'm like, you do what you can do, right? You create them as humans, you influence as much as you can. They still are who they are. And at some point, you have to believe that they have the values, right? And the moral habits, everything that you need. It's very similar to a business.
I totally agree.
You've done the work, but it's probably not going to get done in your way anymore.
Yes.
But as long as it's aligned to the values, but that's hard to let go of.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. And I totally agree. I've got, a few preteens now. So I'm at, there's a lot of analogies to like the business itself where I'm like, okay, we're in our teenage years and this is,
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
If you look back to that point when you left, your corporate role and how you define success then and how you define success now, how has it changed?
I think it's in the doing of things, right? So like before, I think in the corporate role, like your job is to do so much, to produce so much. It's like always, like it was always in that kind of direct, very tangible output. And I think now, my role is a little less tangible, but it's felt, right? Mm-hmm. It's the art, it's the heart, it's the, creating the room, I think, for others who may lead differently, but not necessarily better or worse. And so I think it's also in, right now I don't directly manage anybody. Like that's, I influence. And so like, that is a very different, skill set, right? And so I think it's in those things and to your point, protecting what matters most when past lessons and output and just
wiring,
that kind of productivity is very different. It looks and feels very different. And so trusting that I'm still adding value when I'm not like doing all the things. And you know what I mean? And just, it's not helpful to come in and be like, well, here's what I want. Do it this way. I'm like, you know, and so it's having patience with that process of building those systems and building, empowering, you know, others to be successful with them.
This is something all leaders, not even just founders, can relate to, because the higher you climb, you bring that performative that got you there, right? It's like the work hard, right? All of that. And then you reach a point where your success is no longer the performance. It's it's the performance, right? And the impact and the culture you've built underneath you. And that feels very different on a day-to-day basis. And there are a lot of days where you know, at the end of the day, you're like, did I help anyone? Did I impact anything today? Because I think I just did a lot, right? But you don't, it feels very different. And I think that's where leaders sometimes grab into they get back in, and which causes angst with their team. Because that's what we know how to quantify our worth.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
And it's real. I mean, it's real. I've been there. So I want to switch just a little bit to like you as a human, right? And personally, also as a founder and everything that comes with that. How do you manage your own energy? What are the rituals or the things, you know, daily that you're like, this is how I stay sane, right?
Yeah.
With kids and a business and everything else.
I wish I had a better answer. And it's funny, the timing of this question is like, okay, this is our first week of summer. I am, you know, kids are out of school. No camps have started.
When did they go back?
The spreadsheet is insane. And the coordination every day for who's going where, when, what, how, you know, I am excited. I think I'm realizing it's like the connection, right, with other people. And like, I'm talking friends, I'm talking like quality time with family. It's not like a volume play, but it's a quality play. And for me, as somebody who gets energy from, you know, those I love, I'm curious like you, I love talking and connecting. And, you know, that's something I didn't realize. I really like when I got into beauty, like how much I would appreciate from a peer network standpoint as well. And there's so much learning to be had there. It's such a, I mean, for lack of a better word, like beautiful industry. So for work, I think it's protecting time to kind of get out from behind my computer and, you know, make those connections that ultimately facilitate even more and better and more meaningful opportunities for the brand. And then from a personal standpoint, I think like the evolution and learning, like we're very much in that scaling kind of transition mode, right? From building to scaling and team and building systems and talking about like, well, that feels right, or that this needs help, or, you know, how do we get out of our own way and like keep it simple? And so that learning to say no to some meetings and like, I'm very actively trying to protect my time better to create those more like those moments for pause where like creativity can come through, or just like the walk around the lake with a friend, or just stopping thinking about it. You know, I think the irony is that we are it's like we started our own businesses to have more control of our time. And like, that is very much like, I dream about this stuff. Like it infiltrates my dreams. So I think it's kind of like, how do you trick yourself into like creating those spaces for pause and then taking care of ourselves as we get older too. You know, default strength training twice a week for 30 minutes where I'm like, can show up and I don't have to think, and they'll just tell me what to do. It's very nice.
Don't you love tell me what to do. Sometimes
just tell me what to do
all the time. Right.
I'm here. That is as much as that's an achievement. So it's very much a work in progress. I'm not, you know, I don't have time for journaling.
Thank you for being honest in that, because I think it's all of us.
I think there's a lot of wellness practices that put additional pressure on you too, to be honest, and then in some ways make you feel bad. And so I'm like, well, that sounds great in theory, but that would occupy so much time of which I don't have because we're, as a founder, as a mom, as, I think as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, like there's just you're just conditioned to kind of put everybody else's needs first.
And there's always going to be something else you should be doing. There's a great meme. I don't even know, but it just says like, I'm supposed to drink, 100 gallons of water a day and do this and do that. It's all these things, right, that you're supposed to do. And you're like, what do I have time to do all of that?
Yeah. That's just like, that sounds nice.
Like eat enough things and drink enough water and work out how many times. And but what I love, a couple things you said is, you brushed right past it, but the saying no.
Yeah.
And this is real, right? And I know there's a lot of, we make like no's a complete sentence and all of these things, but to do it in practice is a lot harder. And that's both for business and personal, right?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about strategy is more about what you say no to than what you say yes to.
Yeah.
Personally, it's about the boundaries, right? And where you put them, how you allow other people to treat you, right? Or those boundaries you allow them to cross. And I think so many of us get to the point of, and I'm going to say success loosely, right? Define it however you want.
Yeah.
And more people want our time.
Yeah.
More people want just a little bit of us. And if we just allow everyone to have a little bit of us, there's nothing left for the people we love or ourselves.
Yeah.
And self-care is not I would say like, I used to believe like self-care was like, take a half day and go to the spa.
Yeah.
That's not self-care. Self-care is a walk around the lake by yourself, right? With just clarity and white space to just think. And that's what most of us are not doing enough of.
Yeah.
Stepping away.
Yeah. I agree.
From our families, from our, right? And there's some selfishness in that. But it also keeps us whole, right, and healthy for everything else we need to do.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good reminder and message for a lot of leaders to hear is that you're not going to reach a point in your success where someone's going to say, you have a free hour every day now to do with whatever you would like to do.
Yep.
Someone's going to take it before you have it. Put the boundaries up.
Yep. I agree.
I love that. So kind of last big question, what's something you wish they had told you back at, I'm going to call it base camp, right before the climb? Yeah. Like I wish someone had told me this sooner. I wish I'd known it sooner. What is that?
I think it's a lot of, paying attention to the strengths that made you successful. And we're from the Midwest. There's a lot of humility here and curiosity, which I love. And I think it lends itself to the success that we've had. I also think that and I'm a gatherer of information. I love, talking to other people who've experienced it, opinions, of what and whatnot. But I think that when how do I say this? It's almost like, remembering the value that you add and not letting, protecting as you grow, as you take on funding, as you take on new partners, as you hear these opinions, like also balancing it with your gut and knowing how you think about it and what the actions you take, like they don't necessarily know better. I'm not saying this as well, because you get into this place of it can be intimidating. We've never raised before. We've never worked with this retailer before. We've never
know when really we know more than we
I think we still, there's still so much value to be added. And I think, we built this, right? And there's a lot of, we built this. We took the risk. And so it's like continuing to trust on your own intuition and 100%, like there is so much value in balancing like the opinions and insights and learned experience from others, but continuing to speak up and clearly articulate, which I'm not doing so well now, at every stage and phase, regardless of the fact that you have yet to live through it.
it's a good reminder
Mm-hmm.
though, is that,
Mm-hmm.
trust what you've built, trust your values and your natural given strength,
Mm-hmm.
because there are points in our career, all of us have this. If you're in a corporate environment, it's fun, where you start to either question your natural strengths, right? You push them down, you don't use them like you used to,
Mm-hmm.
when those are the things that are really going to move you forward.
Yeah.
Right? But we get imposter syndrome. I was on a call just this morning with
Mm-hmm.
a CEO who sold the business and has
Mm-hmm.
stayed on, right, in a larger holding company. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, it's interesting. My confidence is lower than it's ever been now, because I'm comparing
Right.
myself to all these other people in this
Yeah.
company now. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
have big corporate background, right? I'm a
Mm-hmm.
founder. And I was like, time out. Figure
Yeah.
out what you've done, right? And
I
he's like, that's a
know.
really good point. Like, you just spend your time comparing.
I know. It's hard.
Like,
And that's like the comparison is just the thief of joy. And it talk about not being productive, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
not worth the
You
time,
can
but it certainly
spiral.
happens
Right.
to everybody. Mm-hmm.
So what's one message? And, as you mentor, maybe, people that are looking to get into the beauty industry or do the work,
Mm-hmm.
what's a message that you would want to leave with them?
I love talking to other founders, especially those exploring, brick and mortar retail. I think there's just so much opportunity there. I think, it's always, there's no one right way of doing things though. There's never a silver bullet, right? And so I think that is like the being curious. The landscape is changing so quickly. And so similar to that imposter, it's like, don't beat yourself up or think, it's like progress over perfection.
Yeah.
And also, trying not to focus so much on what you may have chosen to do differently, right? Just future focused, future oriented, learning from those mistakes. Like there's not one thing that's gonna just send you off the rails, but it'll help you be stronger, moving forward if you pay attention.
There's no one right way. To do anything, and the journey is part of it. The climb, is part of it, and it's how you look at it. Where can people, before we go into the bonus round, where can people connect with you, learn more about your story, the product? Like, what's the best place?
Sure. Our website, my LinkedIn, that's a good one. My email. Yeah, I am accessible. So I think that's great. And you can find us on shelves at Target. We just launched at Walmart. We're at Ulta Beauty on Amazon, navigating how to grow there. So we are everywhere.
Well, I love it. I'm going to put a plug in. This episode is sponsored by Odele, because Lindsay and her team actually were nice enough to send me and my curly hair product, and I've been using it. And my family, like, people are like, "What are you doing?"
It looks so
I'm
good.
a walking testament to your curl products.
It looks so good.
I just love supporting local and female founders and what you guys are doing to truly bring that clean, right? Like you said, to all members of your family and bring that, which is so needed right now. So I appreciate everything that you're doing. Before I let you go though, I want to dive into the bonus round. So these are just some fun questions.
Okay.
So when you need a reset of your energy, right? You had a tough day, you're feeling a little low. What's your go-to song? And we're actually creating a Spotify playlist that we will publish everyone's answers to this.
What is that Harry Styles one, like Sign of the Times?
Okay. I never know the titles of songs. I can just sing
Yeah.
So,
Harry, there's a lot of Harry Styles on in my house right now.
Okay.
My youngest controls our playlist, and it's great.
I love it. Okay, so the last kind of bonus round question. I'm going to give you a billboard.
Okay.
Just you, right? Not Odele, just you, a billboard that every leader on their way to and from work is going to see. What inspiration, what would you want to put on that billboard for them to see?
Progress over perfection.
Okay. Right. Like, celebrate.
You
if we
got
put it on there, we're going to do progress over
perfection. You could do perfection. Yeah, I like that.
It's both sus. Like, we want to wait until the right time. We want to wait until all the stars.
Totally.
It's never
Well, we
gonna happen.
all hold ourselves to such immense pressure, right? And just such high standards of which, internally nobody would notice, right? And so I think that it's just freeing to know, like, it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody does. You learn from them and you keep going. And that's what makes the difference. It's that perseverance,
Right.
and, the conviction. So
what a beautiful way to end this conversation, and a great message for everybody. Thank you for being
good. Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And thanks to the community for, continuing to engage in these conversations. The people I'm bringing on are people I want to learn from. We all need to learn from. And it's not, none of us has this easy road to where we've gotten, but we need to be in it together, right? And hearing these stories really helps. So appreciate all of you being here and continuing to engage.
Success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about what you discover once you're there. Here on View from the Top, we explore the stories, the setbacks, and the inner work that redefine what success really means. If this episode resonated with you, I'd encourage you to share it with someone who might need it right now. And to stay connected, make sure and subscribe so you get notified when we release new episodes. You can connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, or visit my website at jamietates.com. All of the links are in the show notes. Thank you for listening to View from the Top. We'll see you at the top and beyond.